What's up, everybody? Check this out. I'm in Anderson, South Carolina. Me and a buddy of mine are cruising around in the Baitcar looking for some action, and we happen to stumble across a driver's license checkpoint. Never been through one of those before, so that's kind of cool. I didn't even know driver's license checkpoint was a thing. I've heard of DUI checkpoints, and coming to do a little research on them. There's some rules, pretty much just like DUI checkpoints. You know, like they gotta notify the public in advance, and which we did some research on this, and they didn't notify anybody. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know at what point you guys see a sign that says driver's license checkpoint. At what point can you read the sign? Or if you can't read the sign, let me know. One thing I did notice is that, you know, as you can see in the camera, I was able to read other signs along the side of the road. And one of the other rules is that it's got to be safe. You know, you can't be endangering people's lives, like in the middle of heavy fog, and you know, typically you're supposed to give people a chance to turn off and avoid it. And you're supposed to, you know, give people plenty of notice. Let me know if you see any of that going on here. Leave a comment below. Make sure you hit that thumbs up.
Compared to Texas, maybe.
Appreciate everybody's support. Here we go.
Maybe about 3 or 4 hours away from the coast. Yeah. Not too far, but far enough. Stop ahead, driver's license. Who's that beer bottle? I don't know. Yeah. They're pulling you up. What? Jack, we need to look this up. Yeah. I got several full things I wonder out now. What's up?
You got your license with you?
For what?
The DL check.
Huh?
It's a DL check.
Driver's license check. I never heard of such a thing.
Yeah, that's what it is.
You gotta have a driver's license to drive here?
Yeah, you sure do.
Here's your camera.
Can I see it, please, sir?
You can't see it?
You may have ones around the plane. You got your registration and insurance?
No. I got that.
What is this?
I don't know. Whatever they gave me.
It's a rental?
Yep.
Oh, okay. You got anything to drink tonight? You got anything to drink tonight, sir?
Huh?
You got anything to drink tonight?
What?
Have you had anything to drink tonight?
What?
Go ahead and step out. Put it in park.
Do you suspect me of being armed and dangerous?
I want you to step out.
For what?
Because I told you to.
Arkansas Street, Lower Street.
You're on 310, 36. Go ahead and step out.
Enforcement witnesses said that they just didn't know that way.
I don't know what's wrong with it. Are you having trouble hearing me, or what's going on?
I don't have the right to leave the fence or what?
South on Tuberville Road.
Yeah.
SUV 788 387, Victor Uniform Zulu 387.
I see your shirt. I mean, I don't got to have the attitude of me, but we're just doing the DL thing.
Which is unconstitutional, in my opinion.
Okay, but I don't make that stuff up. We're trying to take and break others out of the road, okay? No, I got you out. I don't smell anything.
I drink alcohol.
Okay, why don't you just say that?
Because I don't need to.
Sorry for Joey, like a man.
That's it matter, right?
Good. Yeah, thanks, Tim, for all the same.
Man, I wasn't even ready for this. No, me neither. Y'all missed it, Chuck. I pulled out. Did you see your shirt? You had to comment on the shirt! Like that.
Yes, clear again.
We're going to have to drive back through this a few times.
Enjoy the shirt.
He's not a same shirt.
Of course.
A driver? I didn't think that. I didn't think that was allowed. We need to look that up. Did your live die?
It's back now. I had you live the whole.
Can they do a driver's license checkpoint?
In South Carolina, law enforcement may briefly stop drivers at a checkpoint or a roadblock for the limited purpose of verifying a driver's license, vehicle registration, and proof of insurance. Also, authorities may set up checkpoints to detect drunk drivers. However, in every case involving an arrest for a DUI at a checkpoint, the prosecution must first show that the checkpoint didn't violate the driver's rights under the Fourth Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. In this article, our DUI lawyers in Mount Pleasant examine the laws and the procedures in South Carolina regarding license and DUI checkpoints, your legal rights, and what to do if you're stopped at a checkpoint in South Carolina. Are license or DUI checkpoints legal in South Carolina? The Fourth Amendment of the U.S. Constitution guarantees that all persons have a right to be from unreasonable searches and seizures. Although a license or DUI checkpoint is the equivalent of a seizure, the United States Supreme Court has upheld the constitutionality of using a brief stop to check licenses or to detect drunk drivers. However, not all checkpoints are legal unless they meet some basic requirements. Whether a checkpoint was legal largely depends on exactly how law enforcement set up the checkpoint, how they ran the checkpoint, and a showing of evidence that the checkpoint was successful. The legal requirements for setting up a license or DUI checkpoint in South Carolina: law enforcement must have a valid reason for the checkpoint. Law enforcement must have a valid reason for the checkpoint's location, such as an increased DUI rate in a certain area. Supervisory approval is needed. In South Carolina, a couple of officers can't just decide to set up a license or DUI checkpoint whenever or wherever they like. Instead, supervisory law enforcement personnel must approve: 1. The decision to establish a checkpoint, 2. The selection of the checkpoint site, and 3. The procedures for the checkpoint's operation. Also, the checkpoint must be overseen by a supervising, uniformed law enforcement officer. Law enforcement must publicize the checkpoint. Law enforcement must announce the date and the location of any potential checkpoint. The legal requirements for conducting a checkpoint in South Carolina: cars must be stopped in a predictable pattern. When conducting a checkpoint in South Carolina, law enforcement can't stop vehicles randomly. Instead, law enforcement can only stop motorists according to a neutral formula. For example, may stop cars by pulling over every second or third vehicle. The site must be safe and identifiable. Law enforcement must take safety precautions such as proper lighting, warning signs, and signals. Also, law enforcement must use clearly identifiable official vehicles and be in uniform personnel are used. Lastly, the checkpoint must be clearly identified as a license or a DUI checkpoint. In other words, the checkpoint can't be used randomly for anything the officers feel like investigating. Further, the checkpoint must also provide sufficient warning to allow motorists to stop safely at the checkpoint. The stop must be brief. Under South Carolina law, there is no set time limit during which law enforcement can detain a driver at a checkpoint. Having said that, law enforcement must set up procedures to make sure that they aren't holding drivers longer than needed. Whether the period of the stop was reasonable depends on the circumstances in each case. The checkpoint must be effective. In cases involving an arrest at a checkpoint, the prosecution must show evidence that the checkpoint served the public's interest. Typically, the prosecution can prove effectiveness by showing that the traffic stops actually resulted in uncovering traffic violations, such as driving without a license, or criminal violations, such as drunk driving. What to do if you're stopped at a checkpoint or roadblock in South Carolina? If you're stopped in South Carolina at a checkpoint or roadblock, here are some basic suggestions on how to handle yourself and your legal rights at a checkpoint. Be calm. Getting excited, acting out, or being disruptive is the surest way to get yourself singled out at a roadblock. Cooperate but don't incriminate yourself. We're aware of some viral videos online suggesting that you don't have to roll your window down or talk to officers at a roadblock. While that may be true in other states, here in South Carolina you are likely to look suspicious if you don't cooperate by rolling your window down or politely speaking with the officer. Having said that, you don't have to answer any questions, especially those that might incriminate you. For example, if you're stopped at a license checkpoint, but the office starts to ask you questions about where you've been, where you're going, or whether you've been drinking, these questions have nothing to do with whether you have a driver's license. So, you may politely decline to answer these questions by telling the officer that you are exercising your right to remain silent. Even if it is a DUI checkpoint, you still don't have to answer these questions. However, as a practical matter, Law enforcement will probably pull you to the side to perform field sobriety tests even if you decline to talk. If officers ask you to get out of your vehicle, you should cooperate. Otherwise, you may be charged with interfering with an investigation. Cooperating doesn't mean that you have to perform any field sobriety tests. You should know those police officers have routinely misidentified sober drivers as having failed field sobriety tests, which is a good reason not to do them. However, if you refuse to perform field sobriety tests, you may be arrested for DUI anyway. Having said that, if you politely decline to answer any questions or perform any field sobriety tests, then law enforcement doesn't have much evidence to prosecute you with after your arrest.
I didn't think that was legal.
Here we go for round 2.
Possible in 1081 subject state Christina Cross, where female date of birth 2097, 5 foot 140 pounds, brown eyes, red hair. In minutes, on contact holder in the
Where's that Budweiser go? Oh.
Here's some contract 2238.
On everything. Yeah.
These cars that they got people out or what?
Mm-hmm.
Safety checkpoint. What?
You good? Yeah, I remember you coming through early. Look at this shit. This is not safe in any way, shape, form, or fashion. Not safe. That's about the best thing you is wave. It was about the only thing he could do. And the other cop, he didn't want none, dude. No, go on. No, I saw you come through earlier. I saw you come through earlier. He ain't even playing. What's up, y'all?
We need to go. We got another tow truck down here towing something.
Yeah.
That was the part.
Metro 112.
I thought there was a street right here.
I'm at the DB knowledge 419-944.
Here we roll up for a third time, but we make a quick turn just before, just to see if it would trigger them, see if they'd come after us. They did good. They didn't on this one. We did notice there wasn't much random selection. They were stopping every car, which is against the rules. The second time through, they didn't stop us because they'd seen us, and the guy said, well, we already seen you before. You already came through or whatever. And, but yeah, let me know what you guys think below. Appreciate you guys watching. Appreciate all the likes and support. You guys are awesome. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't. Hit that bell icon so you get notifications when I post.